You ever find yourself replaying a moment of poor execution over and over again in your head? Losing sleep as you dissect, trying to figure out what went wrong, what maybe you could have done different? Let me ask you a question. How much sleep are you losing over your successes? Do you know them as well as you know some of your failures? My name's Brett Gajda. This is Raise Your Value, and today we're going to spend some time with what works. Earlier this month, I was talking to one of my coaching clients. She was coming off what she called the most productive week ever. To give you a little bit of context, she's a private equity fundraiser. She's coming off of a few years off, taking some time off to raise her children. She's launching her own company, and she was on a roadshow for 2 weeks, raising 5 figures for a fund that she's working with. Now, she described a series of events that had happened from the week, and she shared with me that her client was both surprised and blown away with her results. In turn, I asked her a simple question. What worked? Her initial response was something along the lines of, well, I just do what I do. And I could relate. Because I remember back in my first venture in San Francisco, my partner Nick would always come to me and talk to me about training the sales team, showing the sales team how to get the same results I got. And my response at the time was always something like, well, can't they just watch what I do? Can't they just do what I do? Because the truth of it was, I didn't really know what I did. Over the years, as I've coached hundreds of executives, I've been struck by a commonality that I've seen. And that commonality was once again rearing its head with my client. When things don't go the way we want them to go, when we feel like we failed, we blew it, we tend to very specifically analyze why. Often losing sleep, even overanalyzing all the specific pieces, attempting to figure out what it is that we could have done differently. And often also beating ourselves up in the process. Which is not to say that I don't think there's value in looking at what didn't work. It is to also say that there is tremendous value in looking at what did. Which brings me back to my client. I left her with that question for about 3 days. What worked? 3 days later, we spoke again. And though she admitted that she struggled with the question, she did come up with 4 things that she felt worked. They were pretty general. We drilled into a few of them and we uncovered one of them that was really about her being her authentic self with her clients. 4 days later, we spoke again and she shared with me that now she was really starting to get it. Having been with the question for about a week, she was really starting to find some poignant answers. And she thought it was enlightening as well as really interesting in the fact she'd never really done it before. Consider this. This is a very successful businesswoman. She's been responsible for billions of dollars exchanging hands. She's made millions of dollars personally. And yet for over 2 decades, while she was at the top of her field, she never consciously actually thought about the concept of what she was doing that was working. Why was she so successful? If your goal is to duplicate your best moments, to hit a home run every time, do you not think it would be beneficial for you to understand exactly what it is that you did when you hit a home run? You're likely lying in bed staring at the ceiling, losing hours of sleep, analyzing every little bit of detail when you strike out. Sometimes desperate for just a shred of evidence that can help you to turn it around. And yet when you're crushing it, when you're having your most productive week ever, are you aware of what it is that you're doing that's working? Are you analyzing that? A lot of people will tell you to celebrate your successes, and I wholeheartedly agree. I'm also going to suggest that you document them and you analyze them. Look very specifically at what worked. What were you doing? How were you being? Who was involved? What was unique? Take a look at what worked so that you can repeat it. Sometimes this exercise will just take a few minutes of your time. Other times, you'll spend weeks playing with it, just like my client recently did. No matter what, you will get value out of it, both short-term and long-term. What are your thoughts about this? Are you one of those people who tends to overanalyze things when they don't go the way you want them to, but spends no time analyzing your successes? Or maybe you're someone who's already been incorporating this into your growth. Either way, share some comments below. We want to hear from you. And if you're someone who got value out of this video, pass it on. Email it directly to some people that you know. Let them know that you're invested in their success. Until the next, this is Brett Millen Gajda signing off for Raise Your Value. Make it an incredible week. Track those successes.